get better men. Would you step up for the vision and the purpose of our nation?
I love that. This reminds me of a very own version of Mr. President by, it was actually by Nakaya. Yeah, man. Very, very dope song. I remember that from back in the day. I love songs that, get to address issues that are actually happening. It's not always fun and games, right? We also have to talk about social ills. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I've got Emmanuel Jal in the studio with me. I won't lie, I've been looking forward to this day for a while because I've always wanted to have an interview with this man right here. Thing is this, I've heard so much about him, and then we happened to follow each other on Instagram a couple of years back. So I remember the very day he even got his Canadian citizenship, so we're going to get to that. Like I saw it on Instagram. So for me, it's like meeting someone that you've seen so much about and learned so much about, but yet you want to get it from the horse's mouth. So ladies and gentlemen, in the studio with me is none other than Emmanuel Jal. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
I'm great, like you, man.
How you feeling?
Really hyped up for today.
Hyped up.
Just managing the energy for tonight.
Managing the energy. You've got a show tonight.
Yeah.
We're going to definitely get to that, right? Now, first and foremost, congratulations on your music journey so far. I was reading something up that says your numbers on Spotify in terms of your monthly listeners have really, really gone up. Did you ever think that there'd be a day like this when you were launching your musical career?
When my manager opened my Spotify,
yes,
at one time we were like 2,000 and then 16,000, and so
yes,
they said, like, what are we going to do to go up? And so what I think is persistence and consistency, and also learning around.
Yes.
But I wouldn't say it just went out by a solo man. So there's one African artist that I like his strategy, Diamonds.
Yes, I love Diamonds.
So Diamonds for years didn't want to perform anything. So
yes,
what he used to do is he collabo. So I had one song that became a hit in the club scene.
Yes.
And actually, when you go to Afro-house, it's one of the songs that defined the scene.
The scene.
But for like 8, 5, 6 years, I'm ignoring that place.
Yes.
You have a market open up for you
already,
but you are not giving it attention. But it's putting money in your pocket than the market that you really want to go to. So
yes,
imagine you spend maybe 200,000 or $500,000 on an album,
yes,
and the record labels, and you're going out and nothing happens. And then there's another market that
it's open.
Only like $500 spent on a track, and it's putting money in your pocket.
Yeah.
And so then that's when
it was right
we
there.
did an album called Nas. From doing that album Nas, me and Nyarwaj, my sister,
yes,
and then things started moving up slowly.
Blew up.
And then now the latest one is this one of the fastest growing producers from Zimbabwe. DJ Night Freak.
DJ Night Freak.
Yeah. So the way he produced, like, he has his own mark, and so he bring a little bit of Congolese, and then he bring a bit of Zimbabwe, and then he bring a bit of South Africa, and then he get his own mark. And so he heard one of the song called Hey Mama. Produced, most of my songs are produced by Kenyan producers,
yes,
but a lot of people don't know
them. Yeah.
So all my albums. So this song called Hey Mama, he
yes,
heard it and he said, I want to find this guy. And that's it. We did the song called Gora. Now it's in number 1 on the Beatport. Huge. From 150,000 listeners to now we are like 500,000.
That's massive.
Within 1 month.
Hey, 500,000, there's guys who are literally trying to get to even 5K. You know how that is. It's tough. Now, I wanted to push it all the way back, right? I feel like maybe this story has been told on and on and on, but I think I'm doing this. Me, when I started, I was actually a journalist, right? So I feel like I really like to get stories out. And I've never had a conversation with anyone who had anything to do with being a child soldier, right? So I want you to take me back to all of those years way back in South Sudan. How was it? Like, how did you get recruited to be a child soldier first and foremost?
You see, when war happens, anything can. So my country went to war, then I saw what it was doing. So it robbed the soul of my village.
Yes.
So my mother was taken by that war. All my aunties died during the war. My uncles from my mom's side died except one.
Yes.
In my dad's side, there's only one now. So by the time when I was taken to Ethiopia, my father told me I'm going to go to school in Ethiopia.
Yes.
So we had to walk hundreds and hundreds of miles. And on that journey, a lot of children died of starvation, some died of dehydration, some were eaten by wild animals.
Yeah.
I remember one time, what kept me going as a kid is I wanted to go to school. I wanted to learn how how do they make tanks? Some would say people went to school. How did they make the planes that drop bombs? Oh, people went to school. And how did they make biscuits? Oh, okay, people went to school, came up with a formula. Then my imagination and wanting to go there. I remember one time I was so exhausted.
Yeah.
And you just fall.
Literally on the ground.
And so when I came back to life, as a kid I used to pray. I do my best, pray, and not worry about what's going to happen. And then just leave it that way. Then we arrive in this place and I'm up. And then I'm in a place I can't recognize. So one kid told me, Jal, you are lucky. I said, why? A stranger, you were left behind, but a stranger came, and those other kids lying on the ground. He just picked you and carried you.
Hold up, the other kids were left? And
dead, yeah, dead.
Dead
exhausted,
already.
Yes. This is thing like, when you fall, that's it.
Yeah, they don't stop because you're dragging them back.
People are exhausted. Now where are they going to stop? You're walking at night, But the stranger picked me. And so and then we arrive in this other place. Now there's a ton of story if we look about what I look at it is when you detach your emotion from the pain of your suffering, you see the value they bring you. Because if you want to see how universe loves you or God, it'll put you through hell.
Yeah.
Because that's how everything is molded. The diamond goes through so much heat.
So much heat
the
and
gold,
pressure.
every beautiful thing we see out there went through fire. And if you look at the top most beautiful women that are dominating the online, you see why they became so creative to look at. You study their life, you will know what hell they went through. And you look at
Pressure.
the top musicians that have made it. No Bobby will just say, I just became a musician like that. There's this level of pain. And so one of the lowest point for me that when I look up to, that created a mark that set me up to where I am today, was the lowest point when I was tempted to eat my fellow comrade. My friend was dying, and I look at him that I'm going to eat you tomorrow, and he looked at me and he said nothing. So in that journey,
you said this to them.
I said it to him. He was sitting to me, a child soldier.
Wow.
And he was exhausted. So in the journey we were in, we were drinking our own urine for survival. There were so many defeats that I experienced in that path. But this path make a huge mark. You're sitting to somebody and your senses changed as a human being. And you look at your fellow human being and
it's
you
very,
tell them, I'm
very
going to eat.
animalistic, man. So let me get this right. So when I hear when I see or read about Child Soldier and everything, from all the Beast of No Nation, all of these different movies, and so many different ones, right? So, did you hold a weapon at any point?
Yeah. I was disarmed by a British aid worker called Emma McCune. I met her in Word.
Yeah.
And so she exchanged my gun for a pen. She told me, I'm going to take you to school. That's my dream. And then I left my gun there.
So how long were you a child soldier for?
I would say probably, I was not active fully for 4 years, but I was trained on reserves. So if when you put it in compression, maybe 1 year in a proper battleground. You see the current city, Juba?
Yes.
I was there when Juba was being attacked. When Dr. John Garang was planning on how we're going to take over the city, I'm the one who served in water and a couple of other generals.
Yes.
But I was one of the lucky child soldiers. Everywhere I go, somebody just noticed me, and I was in the headquarters of somebody called John Kong, who's currently still alive, and I was not deployed in front in some areas, but the battle will come to us. But when you're in the battlefield, there's nothing called like you're safe, because when you're your fellow soldiers have lost. There's retreat. Sometimes you need reinforcement, so you have to move forward. So there's nothing called safe once you're there in the battlefield.
Once you're there, anything can happen.
Because what I hate the most, I like when you are engaged with the enemy. I like that. There's a morale. There's a collective courage. When you're going together, you want to peace several times, your legs shakes. But when that rhythm starts, when the AK-47 has its own rhythm of pulling you forward, you know, the worst part is when you lose. But the one that I hate the most is when the enemy is shelling you and you can't fight back.
Shelling?
Just throwing bombs after bombs.
After bombs.
And I can remember one time, you know, sometimes with all human beings, I think there's a force, there's a nature has its own decision making to influence certain things. I was in a bunker somewhere, and a voice told me, Jal, go to the next bunker. So my bunker, it's a small hole by myself.
Yeah.
But the other bunker is well done. There's cement on top. It's only the captains, the generals that hide.
done it, yeah.
But me, sometimes I can't get away with things. So I just left. And I entered that bunker. Everybody look at me. Why are you here? I said, something told me to come here. They started laughing. This one captain say, we know what it's called. It's called fear. So go back, soldier. Get back. Then I said, and as I was about to go back and I was sitting there, a voice told me, move right now to your left. If you don't, you will die.
And boom, shell.
So I obeyed it, and a bomb dropped outside. A used piece of metal came, and if I was standing like this, would have hit me on my throat or in my chest. So I moved to the side, it hit the wall, and I was pushed to the side. Now, everybody in there was surprised. But that's not what shocked me the most. It's where I left, that's where the bomb drops.
Oh, wow.
So I would have been the dead kid in that small hole.
Yeah.
So now later on when we came out, so there's one guy inside, he said, look, and he saw where the bomb dropped, and he said, if you continue listening to those voices,
they'll propel you.
You're going to be a great young man. He said, and he told me stories. One time we're given a command to walk in one direction, and he was the one in charge of the soldiers.
Yes.
So he's given an order, and he said, no, I'm not taking my soldiers through this order, no matter how tough this order is. He diverted it. And then those who obeyed it fell in an ambush, and he ended up being the one that rescuing everybody.
Wow.
So sometimes there's certain voices, you could call it intuition, so you could call it
intuition.
Angels.
Very important.
Yeah.
You can't ignore it. Before I go off and say my own things, how do you pronounce it?
That this is Galuak.
Galuak.
By Nyarwach and Bekamet.
Yes.
Bekamat. It's a remix. Can you imagine this, that my sister just came and overtake everything? Like
everything.
If you go to the Afro-house, she's one of the top.
Yeah, man. Shaguna Tuanyiko, she was actually telling me about all of that, and I was just like, what? Tell me about your sister. How did she even get into the game? Was it because of what you were doing, or she just threw herself into it?
I think when she came here, she had her own piece of what the war reached into her. And when I took her to studio, she was not interested in singing. But I just told her, you just sing. And then she started loving it because it's helped her with her mind and to settle down.
Peace of mind and all of that.
And then we did a song called Gwa that became big in Kenya. Then we started doing more. And then there's one song that launched us into, there's a song called Kwar that was done by her and a lady called Nyamal. And that song went and took the Afro-house scenes by storm because they never heard voices like that.
Yeah.
And then now there's a lot of interest for her. So Galuak became a viral thing. At that time, she was in a refugee camp.
Yeah.
So we did this song called Galuak. I took her to the studio. We wrote the song. And then she went back to the camp. And then Tanya, my manager, and her, they met. They shot a cheap video, put it on YouTube, became viral. Then now, remix, like Bakamat remix that was done now, is 39 million on Spotify. You know, like you get valued as an artist by the listeners you have on Spotify.
Exactly.
And so if you look at her, she has got 1 million listeners monthly.
That's massive.
Like we have like big stars we have here in Kenya, but can't even reach that million.
Yeah, 1 million people on Spotify on your what do you call it? On you every single month. That's a massive one. That's a massive.
She has more listenership than me. I have 500,000 now. She has 1 million.
1 million.
And 39 million listeners to her song Galwak. This one here.
Now, so you're out in the battlefield and everything, right? So Ethiopia. Tell me, walk me through from Ethiopia. Did you come to Kenya from Ethiopia, or how did that go?
I wouldn't say battlefield in Ethiopia. I went to South Sudan. We left Ethiopia and then we retreated to South Sudan.
Yes.
So from South Sudan, the place called Juba, which is the capital city, there was a plan to overtake it.
Yeah.
And then there was disagreement in the field. So, at that time, and then we decided we're around 200 to 400 child soldiers mixed with adults.
Yes.
And only 16 survived.
16? Yeah. Out of how many?
400.
400. 16 survived.
And now we are around 6 people.
From the original 16 who survived?
Yeah, that are alive.
Okay,
sometimes when I tell these stories, because there was one time somebody attacked me in the radio in South Sudan, and I went and sat somewhere and I was talking, and then this man just attacked me, and then all of a sudden somebody chopped. I said, "What are you talking about?" This guy was in my camp, and we're together.
Yeah.
And that was a commander who's now in charge of Peace Initiative.
Yes.
So like sometimes you can share your story and somebody else out of their own perspective want to break it down. And so now we have only few survivors.
That's neat.
One of them is a general spokesperson for President Kiir. One of them now who was in that survival journey is the head of intelligence for the current government.
Yes.
And then we have that person on the peace. Then there's another Nubian man. And then plus one other general. So we're only 5.
So let me ask
Six.
you. So let me ask you this: with everything that has happened, because I can imagine your memories and how you've been able to talk about it in such great detail, all of these different kind of things. Would you say that music has been what has helped you escape all of this post-war memories?
I would say music played a big role, because the first time I entered the studio, and I was excited, and we formed a group called Jahem, me and my Kenyan friends. So we went to studio somewhere in Makini, and the guy, those days,
Makini or McKenna?
Makini school.
Oh, Makini school. Okay.
So there used to be a studio there.
Yes.
And so, and I was with my group, and then we just entered. The guy play a role. Okay, you guys can rap. Okay, put for us a beat. Yo, we drop our thing. He gave us our money to get out. Imagine for Kenyan to
oh, he gave you back your money, the producer,
and said, get out.
No. This is whack.
Yeah, he said like whack, and I can't spend. So when I kept moving around, so the people who Chris Adwar,
yes,
and A-Star Junior at that time were the only guys who did not judge me. So I entered Chris Adwar. So I entered Chris Adwar and I started doing my thing. Chris Adwar said, okay, what you're doing is called spoken word, because you're not in the beat.
Yes.
You're just talking.
You are off the beat.
But if you want to rap, there's something called rhymes.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure the last line rhyme with the last line of the next, and you have to do that 4 times. Yeah. Okay, good.
Gotta get your hot 16 in check.
Yeah, so I went and I came back to the studio. I sounded like P. Diddy completely. I just took a P. Diddy. Took the hook, changed kept the melody, changed the words, came up with it. It's like, you don't sound original, you sound like somebody called Puff Daddy. So it's okay, cool. So every time I go to studio, I sound like somebody.
Yes.
But eventually, they just had the grace. And finally, it became something. So why am I sharing this story? Because somebody's out there. Now, when there's something that you want, and it's in your head, you see it, and you believe it in your heart, there's no obstacle stronger than it.
100%.
Because somebody tell you no, the no does not exist. Somebody tell me you're crap, it doesn't hit you. The only time when you feel being hit that somebody tell you you're crap and their comment makes sense, it means that vision and the desire is not stronger than the words of the people. Because I remember even in school, I wanted to beat maths and chemistry. I ended up repeating one class 4 times.
Whoa.
And
One
finally,
class 4 times?
Yeah, I was a super doof, but.
Sheesh.
And finally, when I managed to know the formula, I went to University of Westminster and got maths 100%.
Wow.
Yes, and physics 98%. So I just said, like, give yourself time.
13 times 15.
I can sit down and write it in my own way. I'll multiply the old school way.
Yeah.
13 times 15, I can multiply.
So, right.
Yeah. So, and what I'm saying is, in life, if you imagine something and you believe it and figure out how to get it.
Yes.
It was just that simple formula. That's what I used to do. I came to Kenya, I had nothing. When I have an idea, I imagine it. I lie down, I see myself through it, few seconds, and then I'll believe it. That's the gift. Your escape from any challenge is that idea that comes in that few seconds. And you keep on magnifying it. And the more you hold it in your head, it creates a magnetic field,
yes,
energetic field that will pull people toward you. And so
energy. That's
the only, I would say, secret thing I had as a kid. Holding something and imagining it.
And look at you now, man.
Yeah.
Now I want to play your song, Changa.
Oh yeah.
Right? What does that mean?
Chang, I am.
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
In what language is that?
In Nuer language or Nas language, yeah.
Oh, I like this.
Like in Swahili when I say Shanga, which means
kustuka.
Kustuka.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I had to be, because I had to make sure we pronounce it correctly. Yeah. Any new projects on the way?
Yeah, I'm gonna continue to do more collabo. But me and Juliana are gonna work on a new project coming next year.
Joint.
To identify young talents that we can.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You guys need to come back and talk about that.
Definitely.
Yeah, man. So
then I have a book coming out called My Life is Art. So anyone who wants to know how I got this far and all the principles that I put there, I actually wrote the book for myself.
When's that coming out?
It's coming out on the 5th of December.
5th of December? What? That's next week?
Yeah.
Next week what? Tuesday or something?
Yeah, launch in London.
Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah, we'll launch it in London. And then in Oxford, and then I'll come back to Kenya. We're organizing a Kenyan launch too.
Definitely. Yeah. Man, this man is doing everything. Shout going out to you, Emmanuel. Thank you very much for coming through, sharing your journey. I can't wait for you to be back to tell us all about the book. In the meantime, make sure that you pull up to the show tonight.